I have an ulcer in my eye. So I have to get treated by an eye doctor. But unfortunately, I went to urgent care on Friday. So I have to wait until tomorrow to get this addressed. But it
It's
could cause permanent vision loss if I don't take care of it.
it is crazy that you can't go to like an emergency eye doctor. I know there has to be somebody open on the weekends because we're talking permanent blindness if that's not taken care of like quickly. And
Right.
just because it fell on the weekend, you're supposed to just be screwed. Like that's not a thing.
Right. I was at urgent care and it was 3 o'clock on a Friday afternoon. And I literally was like, I cannot drive. That's what happened. I literally couldn't drive. I was like blinded by the light. And people were beeping at me. I'm like, oh my God, I have to go get this taken care of. So I got nervous. I went to urgent care. The urgent care has a 2-star review. So,
I feel
but
like that's most of them.
But listen, I only had like 2 hours to get this addressed because as a single mom, I had to go get the kids off the bus. So like I had to make sure that I got it addressed because I couldn't see to drive. But at the same time, I only had a short period of time myself.
Yeah, I'm not really sure what you're gonna do for the next little bit because we were looking at it before we got on here. And it's so all it should take is some like antiviral drops or something to stop the infection because that's what causes it, right? So
Right.
you get that infection and everything, the ulcer happens, and you take these drops for a few weeks normally, and it takes about 2 to 3 weeks to actually get through it and get better. But during that time, I'm guessing you're not going to really be able to drive much. There's going to be some things you can't do, and they're probably going to want to look at the other eye and make sure that's all good too. So I don't know, homie, because you probably won't be able to drive really for 2 to 3 weeks.
The thing is this eye, I can't, I'm seeing spots. Like that's what I've been seeing. And when I went in there, I told him, I'm like, I'm having headaches because I've been having headaches for like the past 2 months every day.
I mean, if you have an infection in your eye, though, that is probably what is causing it. You know what I mean? Because it's just like if you get tooth infection, eyes, sinus infection, all ear infection, it messes up everything in your head. So I kind of wonder if that's just what it is, and that's why they aren't worried about it. Plus, they don't want you to go blind. So it's the more important thing right now is your eye. I get it sucks. I mean, I've been having really bad freaking headaches too, just because all my sinuses are jacked up. But it's still, if I was going blind, I wouldn't be about it, homie. Um, yeah, it that's just rough. So, okay, so what we're gonna talk about today, we want to really do a deep dive into the United Healthcare situation and him getting unalived, the CEO getting unalived, and the guy who did it, Luigi. So that is probably going to be the focus. And then we want, if we have time, we want to talk a little bit about Marie and her 10 years in recovery and kind of where things started. And then we also wanted to talk about this whole thing with the drones in the sky. So we're going to try and get into all that. We'll see how things go as we move on. But first off, we want to talk about this whole unaliving the CEO thing because this dude Luigi, so he was like a dude that came from privilege. He was a really smart guy, came from privilege, had his entire life ahead of him, and took this period to plan out how he was going to do this unaliving, how he was going to provide after the fact. He didn't talk to his mom for 6 months. He stopped talking to her like back in July because he knew this was coming up. And it was all because he had a serious back issue. Marie had said something about his mom potentially having something too, and she kept getting denied and all this stuff. We were trying to find it again and couldn't find anything on that, so I'm not 100% what all that's about. But it's all about him. He was in such severe pain from his spinal condition, and basically he had screws in his back, that he was kind of being driven crazy. Like he was losing it because of how much pain he was in and how much it was affecting his life, and the fact that he could not get help with this. So that's where all of this comes from, because we talked about this a little bit before, and we kind of knew some of the details, but it has just progressed kind of as things have gone on. What do you think about this?
Honestly, pain can make people take people to different places mentally. I know that first and foremost.
Right.
It's something that's a daily struggle when you have back issues like that. And, you know, a lot of doctors neglect people's pain and they don't validate it. That's a big problem.
My thing is, this dude is so smart. He's very educated, to the point where a lot of the people that were looking at this before he turned himself in, a lot of people were saying this was a professional hitman, and he definitely isn't, or he is, and he's really been fooling people. But he planned this meticulously, to the point where he had everything down. But I'm kind of confused why he went for the CEO and why he chose that, because yes, he's already not really living the life that he wants to live because of all his back issues and everything. But now the rest of his life is pretty shot because he decided to do this. Why not go after like trying to take down the company itself? Because all that's going to happen with the CEO, he's only been there 3 years and he doesn't actually make that many decisions, I'm sure. So they're
Right,
just going to
because
replace him.
a CEO still has to, like, it's the board of directors
Right,
that really dictates things. And it's like this man was only there for 3 years.
right.
It's not like someone that was there consistently for like 20 years and, really was with the company long. It doesn't really add up and make sense.
And you got to be able, if you're going to do something like that, you have to do something that is actually going to make an impact. And I really just don't think that was it. So it sucks that this brilliant dude ruined his life because he decided like violence was the answer and didn't even pick the right way to do it. In my opinion, I just think he should have gone after the company itself, like did everything he could to fight them, because that's the only thing that could potentially make an impact. You get enough people on your side, which he's found a way to do. He did get a lot of people on his side, but I'm sure there was another way without ruining himself that he could have done that.
You know what else doesn't make sense?
Sure.
If you're in that much pain and you know that you're going to do this, you know that your pain's not going to be taken care of in jail. It's only going to be worse.
Yeah.
Think about laying on a jail, going from being a privileged person that has probably a nice, comfortable bed, a home,
Yep.
food, luxury, cars, and then to go to a jail cell.
Yeah.
That doesn't even make any sense.
It's kind of sick how many people are like really applauding him. I'm not saying that what he did isn't justified. It's a weird gray area because really it's not justified. But I get
A
why
lot of
people are
women,
applauding him.
a lot of women are making videos like, "Hey, I'll be his pen pal," or you know,
How many people did that for mass unalivers? Like, you know what I mean? There are always those people that go after the unalivers.
he is good looking though. He is very good looking.
That's all fine and dandy. You know he's capable of unaliving somebody, though. I don't know if I'd want to be in that. You know what I mean?
Some people have a different side, like the bad boy. It's like that bad boy image. I don't know. I used to like that, but that's not what I want today.
Right, right.
Right. Like I grew out of that phase. There is a phase for women that like that sometimes.
Yeah, but you can be a bad boy without having to unalive
Right.
somebody.
But there's like this I don't know, there's like this thing. I don't know. There's women that think that it's attractive.
Yeah, like that's what I'm saying though. All this stuff, like he is being praised. for
Right.
taking somebody out. Like this dude, despite whatever his flaws may have been, despite whatever the CEO's flaws might have been, despite what he was doing wrong, like this is still somebody with friends and a family, and because you aren't just affecting that person, you're affecting everybody.
And like Boogie just say, bad boy and a murderer are really two different things. It is the
Yeah.
truth. That's a whole different line. But it's just that bad boy image sometimes that's attractive to certain women.
There are certain things for everybody. Everybody has their
Right.
preference, but it's just crazy. I I wonder what finally like broke it. You know what I mean? What finally made him decide, "Hey, I'm gonna go ahead and do this."
But to go ahead and do that, to know that you're going to lay in a bed that's not comfortable anymore and your pain that you're already
What the hell?
in is not going to be managed. Like I don't understand how he would want to torture himself even more to lay in a jail cell. Like that shows that something mentally broke.
And pain can do that. I mean, you can unalive from pain itself. I mean, it can spike your blood pressure so high that you just pass. I mean, it's a very very serious thing. But reading up on some of this stuff, I mean, it wasn't just his health care. There were issues with the doctor that he had, and like he might not have gotten the proper care whenever he was getting all these surgeries and all types of stuff. There are so many facets to this.
Right.
It's just I feel like he just needed somebody to put all that anger on, and that made the most sense, which is kind of crazy to me because he spent so long planning this out that it's still stuck on him. You know what I mean? Like, why did it stick with him the entire time? What did he uncover with this dude that made him think, oh, this is the person to go after?
That part doesn't add up, to be honest with you,
Right.
because that man really didn't have the say at the end of the day.
Right.
Like if it was me, I probably would have taken it out on the doctor, to be honest with you, or the surgeon. Like that makes more sense. So that shows that his mental headspace, something shifted.
Do you think if one of the people that attempted to unalive Trump would have been successful, do you think they would have got the same praise?
No,
Why not?
because well, it depends on who it was, to be honest. I think he's getting that praise and admiration because he's good looking.
You think that's it?
Yeah,
I bet you that
absolutely.
is it.
Women started making video after video after video. I just don't think he would get the same people. I don't know. It wouldn't be the same praise.
I mean, that goes into the whole theory that attractive people are more successful and all that stuff.
Right.
I mean, it is true. You do get advantages the more attractive you are, for sure. But
Like
still,
there are women that are like, I will be putting money on his books.
that's crazy.
Right.
I
That is
just
crazy.
I wonder if that's just become the norm now because again, it happens. Ted Bundy was another one that a lot of people said he was attractive dude.
Right.
But it's why is this the norm? Because it's literally turning into we are praising people that are trying to unalive. A lot of people with the people that tried to unalive Trump, a lot of people gave them praise. And if he
Right.
would have been successful, it would have been just like this. Some people are torn where it's this wasn't the right move, this wasn't the way to go. And then there are the people that would have praised like crazy because it's like, oh my gosh, you got him out of the way and all this stuff. It's why is that the answer?
Listen, there are people that are like, I was with him. He was in Germany that date and time.
Yeah,
Like,
making all the
really
jokes.
trying to have his back.
If you don't know the story, so he did all this, decided, he was going to turn himself in a few days later,
Yes.
went into a McDonald's and basically just was like, hey, this is who I am, this is what I did. I want someone who is, out here working and not really doing the best to potentially get the reward money. So he made it so someone from McDonald's could turn him in to give them a come up, which is cool. I mean, I guess I respect him a little bit for that.
But now that person from McDonald's will not get the reward money because of that. There's people saying that they're not getting the reward money now because it wasn't authentic.
It wasn't a legit thing.
It goes right, it goes
Yeah.
against their like the rules and regulations in order to receive the money.
Well, and they don't want other people to start doing that or there to be like cohorts all over the place because then
Right.
everybody would have their person that they'd be like, "Oh, I'm going to do this no matter what. I want to make sure my homie gets the money so, you can send in the tip." I get that. I understand that 100%. It
Right.
is it's a crazy world, man.
It is. And honestly, I feel like there are people that have untreated pain, and
Mhm.
that's the main problem. Like that right there is the issue. It's the healthcare all together. It's not just United Healthcare. It's the whole healthcare system that's flawed.
Yeah.
The whole system. People are literally getting to the point where they want to take their own life because
Sure.
they're living in that much pain on a daily basis.
Do you think this is actually going to have any effect on anything? Because I really don't.
No, I don't think so either.
There's other companies. I mean, even if somehow this was the thing that took down United Healthcare, whoop-de-doo. I mean,
I don't think it's going to do anything. What I do think it's going to change is that they were using AI technology to filter out like the referrals for things.
sure.
And maybe now they'll have a real person looking into people's cases instead of AI. I don't know. Maybe that's what'll change. They're
It's
going to have to do
crazy.
something.
So what that would cause is the company would lose more money. They'd have to spend more money because it's more expensive to have people.
Yeah, but think about it. They're not going to want this situation to ever happen again. What if there was like a copycat? They need to protect their company. They need to do the right thing.
That affects their bottom line. This is exactly what they're going to do. If that is the thing that's affected in any way, they're going to say, "Oh yeah, we made a software patch to make it more manageable and to make sure that it covers this guideline and all types of stuff." And then that's it.
Right.
And that they're going to move on. They're going to spend next to no money. It's not going to actually be something helpful.
I have a feeling that most CEOs won't just like walk down the road without looking over their shoulders now.
Yeah,
That's what will change. They're probably looking over their shoulders like, are they coming for me next? The next person that goes AWOL, you know?
which is a scary thing. Um, if
Right.
because is that going to start happening to the restaurant owner that your food came out cold, so you decided to unalive the restaurant owner? Because that's the type of shit we're talking about. Seriously, that's
Right.
what it'll get to.
But this is a problem. It's a flawed healthcare system. People aren't getting the right mental health services that they truly need.
Right.
There are people out there that are not getting what they need to survive, to thrive, to live a normal life. That is what the problem is.
I completely agree with you. The problem is this situation solved none of that. And if it
Right.
affected none of that. That is the crazy thing. That's just what I do not understand. Someone's so and who knows, maybe this dude was book smart and he wasn't
He
actually.
might be, listen, he might be a sociopath. Like,
Yeah.
seriously, like a diagnosed sociopath. Because a lot of people like that are very intelligent. Very intelligent. Like, if a psychiatrist looks into him, he might realize, like, yeah, this guy has a problem.
And oh man, I bet you they're going to. They're gonna have
Right.
so much stuff. I'm kind of surprised they didn't take the McDonald's person and like try and say they were an accomplice.
Um, you know, why? Why would you think that?
because dude went up to him.
I
Dude,
mean, I just think he just went up to a random person, to be honest with you. And honestly, I think he was just looking out for someone that he knows works hard and doesn't get paid what they deserve. That's what's wrong with this world, too. Look at the prices of everything. Look at how much
yeah.
everything costs. People are not getting paid to be able to survive and thrive out there.
Yeah, no, I agree. And that's exactly what I think he was doing. I'm
Right.
just surprised because it was so successful. I'm kind of surprised like they didn't try pinning it on more people and try and get everybody involved to make it look like it was some big coordinated conspiracy instead of just one random dude taking action. You know what I mean? Because they don't want to
Right.
give power to the little guy either. They don't want to make it look like anybody could do something like this because then that'll start happening. I'm sure the CEOs of some of the other healthcare organizations, hell, CEOs in general, are going to start, I guess, being. I don't know if they'll be more accountable or if they'll dodge things more. You know what I mean? Because if
Right.
some people respect accountability, but at the same time, if you're in that headspace where you want to put complete blame on somebody, it's nothing you do is going to matter. Like we are talking. This dude could have been the biggest saint in the world. The CEO could have been. He could have been the best person and been doing nothing but trying to improve things.
It got taken out on the wrong person. That's
Right.
right.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, this man had children and a
Yeah.
family and a wife and people that loved him and cared about him. So I just approached my 10 years in recovery yesterday. And looking back and thinking back on things, I really started to realize and remember that early recovery phase and how I felt. And I want to be honest, when I first got into recovery, I never intended to stay in recovery. And I was reflecting back on that and thinking, like, wow, I made it 10 years, but I had those reservations the whole, well, not the whole time. Thank you. I had those reservations, though, in the beginning because I really was doing it because I was at my rock bottom and I knew that I needed to make changes. I had two kids in DCF custody. I was pregnant. I was homeless. I ended up in jail. My daughter, like the whole time that I was pregnant, I was told I wasn't going to be able to keep that baby. I was like feared. I was scared.
And I get that. I think a lot of people are like that because even me, every time I was going through the withdrawals and it was like, nothing's popping up and I'm on like day 5 or whatever, I would just be like, I'm just gonna quit. I'm 5 days into this withdrawal anyways. It's almost over. I'm just done for good. And then I would start telling myself, I can take one now. It's been a whole week. I can take one and I'll be all right.
So for me, I just kept saying, I'm just not going to use today. And
Yeah.
honestly, I know that that sounds cliche. I know it does. But trust me, I really truly just took it in 24-hour increments, minute by minute, second by second. I just said I'm not doing it today. And you know what the crazy thing is? When I was in the recovery house and I didn't have anything when I first got there. I finally had my clothes brought to me after like a month, okay?
Right,
It
right.
was cold and I needed my winter coat. I didn't know that now I'm going to tell you guys truthfully, my winter coat, my pockets, the holes inside my pockets, I put holes in so that I could put my hand down in there and shove stuff in there. When my stuff got brought to the halfway house, they went through the clothes. They always do. They go through the bags of stuff. Somehow they missed Xanax that was in that coat pocket. One pill. There was one pill in that coat pocket. I put the coat on. I'm pregnant with my daughter, walk outside, Everyone's smoking at the halfway house.
Yep.
I was there for like a month and I'm thinking to myself, those thoughts in my head came into my head saying, Marie, hide this somewhere up in your room. You're going to take this. You deserve that. You've been good all this time.
Yep.
You could take that pill when you want to take it. I kept holding it in my pocket. I'm not going to lie. I had that thing tight on me so that those halfway house people couldn't find it
Find it.
if they
Yeah.
were doing like a room search or whatever.
Yeah.
So I'm sitting outside, like thinking, do I take it? Do I not take it? Do I take it? I'll get away with it. You know what I did? And this was hard. I grabbed that. It's a house. I threw it over the fence. But the next morning when I went outside to smoke a cigarette, I'm not going to lie. I was thinking about like, damn, I should go make sure or go find that. Like that's only right there. But you know
That's
what? No, I
that's
didn't do it.
but that's why you tossed it over the fence instead of like flushing it or something, because you still
No,
in your head
actually,
you were
no,
like,
no. I just tossed it to get rid of it, and I really thought that that was it, and I was done. But I'm not gonna lie. The next day, I was outside thinking, but I really wasn't like thinking I'm gonna jump the fence. It was one of those fleeting thoughts. I always used to have fleeting thoughts in the beginning of my recovery. When the thoughts came, I tried to get myself out of those thoughts. And honestly, I just tossed it because I wanted it away from me, out of my presence. Like, and the next day it wasn't like I really wasn't planning on jumping the fence, but it was one of those fleeting thought moments. And during my early recovery, I had a lot of those fleeting thought moments. Like the when we're outside going for our walk, the halfway house would have like a little walk. We would go like, to the dollar store or whatever. I could have got whatever I wanted along that walk. I was on the block.
did you ever come close?
No,
Yeah.
I will let the thoughts be fleeting thoughts. There was girls using in the halfway house, and I knew it.
Oh
And
yeah.
I never got involved. I never asked for anything. I never came close because honestly, my life was in such disarray at that point in time. I had two kids in DCF custody. I'm pregnant. I knew that that was like my last shot. It was either that or just go do whatever and just off myself. That was it. They were my thoughts.
Yeah, and I mean everybody's having that stuff whenever they first get sober. It's everybody does. I'm
And
trying.
it's hard. Like Angie's saying, she wishes she could understand the mind of an addict. Addicts are very selfish. Like I only thought about myself. I was very, very selfish. And that's what I try to change now because now I have to be selfish about my recovery. But like I the only thing that you think about is numbing either the emotional pain that you're in or the withdrawal that you're in. It's like a constant cycle of like, I don't want to be sick. I don't want to feel
Yeah.
this feeling. Or then you start feeling guilty. I could remember feeling so guilty, like, oh my God, I'm stealing or I'm taking the last of the money for this. But I had no choice because I was sick up here and I was sick here.
And you basically tell yourself, so like Maria was saying, I'm stealing this so that I can get the last little bit of money so I can buy whatever. You
Right.
will you will convince yourself because it hits a certain point where you have to have that substance. There's no other.
Because you're chemically addicted to it. It is literally something that your body needs. And it makes your brain say, F it. I got to go do what I got to do because I am not feeling well right now. I used to rob. Like, and it was being not congruent with the person that I am. My core values and beliefs are not to steal from people, to be honest, have integrity, to be, to not do things like that to people and to be loyal to people. And when you're in addiction, all of those things go away. They all disappear. I became not myself. I became somebody that was unrecognizable to me.
You end up hitting a point where, like, okay, you need this stuff constantly. It's
Right.
obviously you're going to go through with the withdrawals and all that, but it's not even always about that. It is, let's say you're hooked on pills, and you and your spouse just got in an argument. So that gets you all feeling a certain type of way. You're angry. You tell yourself, I need to calm down, because you don't know how to calm down, though. You think, okay, I have to go get stuff.
Right.
But if you don't have money, okay, now I got to go. Oh, I can go to my mom's house. She has that necklace, and I can go pawn that real quick. And once I do that, I'll have enough money and I can go get my stuff. And then I can deal with, not only can I deal with the fact that we had a fight, I can fix it because I'll be good. And then I can deal with, my mom's necklace too. I'll find a way to get that money back. But every time
Right.
you get money in your hands, you go spend it on some more stuff. It,
I've
it's
done
just
that.
it's a never ending cycle, because no matter what, you are constantly justifying why you are taking what you're taking. And it's hard to stop yourself, because you got to imagine, when you're sad, you're tired, you're bored, you're happy, you're getting ready to start a new job, you're about to go buy a car, you're going through withdrawal. It does not matter. All these things in your head equals, I have to be up to do this. So you just end up doing that for so long. If you don't have something, you think you cannot handle a situation. It literally gets to the point, I had all the time where I had to have something just to go to the grocery store.
Right. That's how I was. I had to wake up to have something to move. I couldn't move. Like you
Right.
can't, like you wake up and you're like your whole body is just aching and hurting and you're sweating and you're sick and your mind's racing and you're just in that place where you are desperate and you will do whatever it takes. And but that's what recovery is about, being desperate and doing whatever it takes to do the right thing. And in early recovery, looking back, now that I have a decade clean and sober, which is so crazy to say because I never thought, never, that I would ever be where I am today. And my life isn't perfect, but I'm not where I used to be. I used to be in jail cells, homeless, on the streets, having no connection with my kids, losing everyone that I loved and cared for, losing myself. And now I don't have to live like that because I can wake up because today I don't need to wake up and take something to make me feel good. I feel good inside naturally now.
Really getting off of whatever your substance is, it's all about turning that hustle into a hustle for other things. Because you have whenever you're addicted to something, you have a crazy hustle. You will do whatever it takes to get that thing.
I used to go into like Home Depot or Lowe's. They were like my targets, I'm going to be honest. And I would walk up and down the aisles and I would look for like one or two things that were expensive that I could grab and walk up to the register and be like, oh, my husband bought this when we were re renovating the house and I lost the receipt and I need to return it. And they would give me a gift card. And then
Yes.
I would take that gift card and I knew exactly who to go to. I had a guy that I would go to and he would give me half the money. So, like, if I got a $600 gift card from Lowe's, he would give me half the money.
One thing that I think people get confused on a little bit is they think that just because someone is an addict, they have to be like doing that too, like doing everything it takes. It doesn't always look like that.
Right.
Sometimes, I mean, no matter what, you're going to end up at a point where you do whatever it takes, but especially early on, whenever it's just starting to hit you, it's not quite like that. It's the subtle things that really hit. Like, you can't handle situations properly. You stop being on time to work all the time. You call into work all the time. You can't, handle basic conversations. There are a million little things that can be signs that somebody is kind of fallen down that rabbit hole, and understanding those signs early on is big for trying to be able to help people, because early on in active use, if you like figure out that your person is starting to use and maybe they've only been doing it for like 3 4 5 months, it's, I don't want to say easy to turn that around, but it is way easier than later on, which is kind of crazy because the longer you get into it, for most people, like the more you want out, but you get so freaking stuck.
It's not like it's enjoyable. At first,
No.
it was enjoyable. Then
Yeah.
it became not enjoyable. And honestly, when I went to the halfway house, I had to learn how to, like, I didn't know what it was like to have to wake up at a certain time in the morning. I had to be at a morning meeting at a certain time. Like, I was held accountable. And
Hmm.
I didn't know how to do that. I didn't know to like get up and make my bed in the morning. I learned that in jail. I learned that in jail. My mother and father tried to teach me that, but there was this part of me that was like, fuck making the bed. Like, why do I got to make the bed? I don't feel like making the bed. Like, why do I feel like doing this? And then it just got to the point where I started learning these things and I started taking their suggestions and I started going to the therapy. And then those thoughts of like wanting to run out of that halfway house started slowing down. And I started showing up on time and doing what I was supposed to do.
I see a lot of people that are like parents or spouses or whatever, they get worried, because after they've been in, the person's been in recovery for a little while, they might not go to meetings all the time. They might have like new hobbies or new friends or whatever. A lot of people get worried that like if they don't focus on the recovery side of things 24/7, they're going to slip back in, and there's always a balance to that, because especially early on you do have to have some sort of like accountability, like Marie
Right.
said. There's got to be something holding you there, but you also have to be able to move on with your life. If you're literally just focusing on nothing but recovery 24/7, hell, that's probably going to make you go back and use. You're going to be thinking about it so damn much.
I was in jail and I didn't know how to put one foot in front of the other because I literally felt crippled. I felt stuck, so stuck. And I knew that I was doing the right thing.
Right.
DCF kept trying to say, you're not going to leave the hospital with your baby. I knew that I was sober that whole pregnancy. I wasn't doing nothing, but I
Right.
was being told that I was doing the wrong thing. And that's what's wrong. I was passing all my drug screens, but they thought that when my daughter was born, that they were going to find something in the placenta when they checked it. There was nothing because honestly, I was doing the right thing.
Right.
And I was very scared because I really wanted to bring my baby home from the hospital and I kept being told that I wasn't. So at that point, the amount of fear that I was having and anxiety made me do the right thing in those moments. I said no. The love for my kids, because my other two kids were in foster care, and the love for my baby, I said, I'm not going to do this. I love my kids more than the life that I was just previously living on the streets.
They're the rare people that somehow enjoy it and want to be like hooked on whatever for the rest of their life. There are people like that, and I don't understand it. It's so fucking miserable.
When you don't see your own self-worth, I think that that's a big key. Like for
Yeah.
me, I've always hated myself. I'm not going to lie. Like I've always felt like I wasn't good enough for anyone or myself. And that right there comes from like childhood trauma and
Hmm.
different things that I've experienced over the years. And that made me feel stuck. It made me feel like I wasn't worth it. But when you start to find recovery, you start to look at yourself from deep within. And I started to realize like I'm not a bad person. I I did these things because I was sick, not because I'm a bad person, because my
Right.
values at the end of the day are certain things. But what I started doing was going against those values.
I mean, of course, I had my like self worth issues and didn't think I was good enough for certain things and all that. I think my biggest thing is I just got tired of wasting the time and the energy. It takes all of your energy every second, every day. Because even whenever you're good, the entire time that like you can have 500 pills and be like, all right, I know I'm gonna be good for a little bit, but you never actually like spend time on life the whole entire time you have
It's a
those.
chase. It's a
Yeah,
constant chase.
you
Chase,
have to
chase.
go, you have to take them so you can make money, so you can get more. And
Right.
oh my god.
It takes so much planning and mental headspace to plan out and plot how you're going to get your next fix.
Hmm. Yeah, and once you start having like once you get to the point where there's like eight, nine, 10 people that are your dealers, and they're always hitting you up, hey, I got some, because they're trying to make money and all types of stuff. It gets so fucking hard to get out of that cycle, because every
Right.
time you think that you're gonna be good, you haven't had any for a couple of days and you've been going through it, and it's like, okay, I'm finally on the other end, I'm starting to feel better. Mentally you aren't ready yet, and somebody hits you up and is like, hey, I just got some. You're there in a heartbeat. You can tell yourself that you're not going to go back as many times as you want. You are there in a goddamn heartbeat.
That's when you're not ready. Like, I could remember I was trying methadone for a period of time.
Mhm.
Unfortunately, I abused it. I was getting the methadone, plus my doctor was giving me methadone pills prescribed for my pain because I do. I have chronic pain issues, and my chronic pain issues, and I really believe that along with like my not loving myself is
Mhm.
what started my addiction. Like one day I was at work, I was waitressing. This guy that liked me, he liked me at the time, but I had a boyfriend. He was like, "Hey, take this," and that was it. He gave me a perk. I loved it. I asked him for some more the next day, and it just
Mhm.
went down a rabbit hole from there. And I liked how it slowed the thoughts in my mind down. That's why I loved the perk at first. It literally made my racing thoughts in my head slow down. And I felt like I was more productive. I felt like,
Mhm.
oh my God, I'm the best waitress. I was taking all these extra tables. Like it was making me be like making all this money and being productive and successful. And at first it was great until it wasn't anymore.
Yeah, it's always great at first. It's the
Right.
best, best
I
feeling
I I
ever.
I used to waitress. I was making like taking I was taking so many tables. Then it got to the point where there was a manager that used to work with me that was doing stuff that would be like, "Hey, um a big if you have a big like your biggest check tonight, your biggest like amount of money, we're going to void that off at the end of the night. You're going to give me half and I'll give you half." And I was walking out of work making five, six, $700 a night.
Think about if you would have been doing all of that and not been hooked on something.
And my dealer was right there because he worked there. He
Hmm.
was always right there in my back pocket. He
That
knew what
got me
he
a
was
lot.
doing. He knew what he was doing when he handed me that perk. I know for a fact. And the sad part is he liked me, and I had a boyfriend at the time, so I didn't pay him no mind. But the
Right.
sad part is, it's like he had an agenda. He had everyone that worked there in his back pocket. He was the bus boy, okay? We were all the waitresses making all the money, and he is literally walking out with more money than all of
Oh,
us combined.
fuck yeah. He
All of
walked
us.
out with your entire night.
It's one of those things that, I mean, why did I take the pill? Why did I choose to take that? But it's crazy how, like, some people just have that mindset of knowing what, willingly knowing what they're doing to
They
bring someone else down.
they want to make money. That's all.
Right. It's all about money. And
You
it's
were doing it.
sad.
You were doing it whenever you needed your shit, and you were,
Right.
you would have done whatever it took. It's the same thing.
To a
It,
certain extent, though, I really still had a lot of morals when, like, there were certain things that I would do, and there was just certain things that I wouldn't do. For
yeah,
me, it was easy to just steal from a store, like straight up. I'm being honest. That was it. Like, it was easy, but that was all. Like, there were certain lines that I would never cross personally. And I don't
right.
ever shade anyone else for doing what they got to do. Trust me.
No,
But for me, it took away my morals, and that's sad. But that's what recovery is about, gaining all those things back.
yeah, no, I 1,000% agree. In ten
Right.
years, that's good. That's a long time.
Right. I never thought I would make it here. I'm telling you, it's crazy.
Do you have a separate like counter in your head for being off like the subs and everything?
Yeah, actually, it's a little over 2 years. I don't know. I just feel like a lot of the clouding in my head has really started to lift over the past 2 years, to be honest with you, from
Yeah,
getting off of everything. I just feel like I see my life now for what it always really truly was. Like,
right.
my eyes are wide open today, and I am
Yeah.
so blessed that
No, they
they
are.
are. Yeah,
I mean, metaphorically, they are.
right,
Not
right.
not not for real.
Not physically, but
So
metaphorically.
that was mean. I'm sorry. I had to
Right,
make
it's
a joke.
okay. It's all
Um,
good.
do you want to talk about this drone thing real quick?
So, there's been drone sightings all over New Jersey, Massachusetts, Michigan, Connecticut. Like, we're not talking just someone randomly flying a drone around.
Right.
There's a lot of videos on TikTok, the news, the FBI was involved. Like, what is going on?
I think the first one was in Jersey. Don't quote me on that.
Right. No, it is. You're right.
Okay, so there was a big thing where, in my opinion, I think there was just probably some event that people that knew each other, probably drone aficionados, set up, and they were flying a whole bunch of drones. Apparently, it was somewhere that they shouldn't have, but a lot of people don't really care about things like that. So they're all flying all their drones. People saw it, made a big deal out of it, like, oh my gosh, what is this? It's got to be some big deal. And because of social media and TikTok and all types of stuff, other people were like, oh, we should do that too. And it's kind of just popped up everywhere. And I think that's literally all it is. It's people trying to make something out of nothing.
There's always conspiracy theories on things, but
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know how I feel about that. It's very odd.
I mean, is it
I've
though?
seen videos. I've literally seen people showing them, so it's crazy to me. And
I
a
don't
lot of people are
know.
saying like aliens. Could it be aliens? Like, no, I'm serious. That's what, like,
I'm 1,000% with all the people that think aliens are a thing. I 100% agree.
I don't know. There got to be something else out there, but
Right.
I don't know. So people are trying to say it's aliens and stuff like that.
No, everybody's reading into it too far. Now, of course, the FBI and all that, they said it's not some like other country trying to spy on us or anything like that. They all said that
Yeah,
it
but that's what they're saying. Do we believe it? I don't believe it.
right. That's the thing. How much can you actually trust that stuff?
Right. I don't trust. I don't trust any of that.
I don't think that it's anything. I don't know, and I'm gonna do some more research on it because we just started talking about it like 20
Right.
minutes before we got on. But I so many people are using drones now. It wouldn't be that hard for some random people that like drones to get together, do all this stuff, and then it just start to spread. I mean, everybody's using them now.
Yeah,
Most
like
kids have
Ricky's
them.
saying, it's probably the government though. See, that's where
Yeah.
my mindset and head goes, Ricky. That's how I think.
What are they doing though? Flying a
Right.
whole bunch of
What
drones into the sky. What's the point of that? To spy on?
spying?
Everybody already got cameras. There are cameras everywhere. They can access your phones and everything. People think that is a conspiracy theory. They can literally access pretty much friggin' anything. So they
Right.
don't need a bunch of drones in the sky getting spotted to spy on you.
Definitely got to look into it more and figure that out.
Yeah, we'll talk about that some more. We got to find more information on it, and I want to kind of see where the rabbit hole goes because usually we talk about something and then throughout the week it like explodes. So I'm hoping
Right.
that.
That's what's been happening lately.
Yeah. All right, guys. I think that's all we got. We don't want the
Thank
kids to go
you.
crazy. I'm getting tired, so I'm still kind of recovering.